Welcome everyone to, I think this is episode 13, of the Gran Turismo 4 Germanlocke, and today we're going to be doing something to get our classic car that we're going to be using for the World Classic Challenge, one of only a couple events we have left in the professional series events. Figured I'd do this now before we go and tackle the IA license, and if we have enough time, maybe we'll go ahead and try to tackle the IA license. I did some off-screen grinding to get some more cash because the car we're gonna be going after is the Mercedes 300 SL. I chose that one just because when it comes to the German classic scene, the pre-1970 models, our lineup is pretty small. We pretty much have the 300 SL, I believe the 2002 Turbo, which I could be wrong, that may be post-1970, and then the Beetle and Carmen Ghia. And having attempted the Carmen Ghia run before in this series, it's not fast enough even when you fully upgrade them. So I chose the 300 SL because even even 40 years after it was developed, it was still considered fairly quick. So I think it'd be a good option to go with here. So I had to do some off-screen grinding at Coast City Amalfi with the HPA R32 to get the cash together to get our car of choice for the SL challenge, which is going to be the SL65. Obviously, I want to win this pretty single-handedly, so I opted for the SL65 here. We're going to buy it, and we're going to turn it up a little bit just because it's probably going to have to be, because I would not be surprised to see other SL65s in this event, and I want to win. I want to make sure that I come out on top of this. So let's see if there's any tire, regulations. No tire regulations. I would not put it past them, though, to turn the tire wear up on the racing softs. So I am going to go racing hards for that very reason, that I am not going to get ruined like I did with the HPA car, the Tuning Car Grand Prix, and get bulldozed. So we are going to go ahead and do Stage 2 Turbo. Probably overkill. I mean, 700 horsepower just off the rip. So, I mean, it's probably a little bit extra, but I want to win this. Like I said, this is going to be... I want this to be a landslide because I want to get this 300 SL as fast as we can. And I'm going to go ahead and do semi-racing suspension. Just enough to get us here. I mean, the power alone is going to be enough, but I want to make sure that we're in good shape. Obviously, brakes as well, because we're going to be making a substantial bit more power than this car came with. But, alright, we're good to go. I think that's all we're going to do with this car. Because I don't feel like we have to do anything else. I think, just for fun's sake, we're going to add some wheels. Just because, I mean, we build these cars this way every time. And I continue to click home instead of GT Auto for some reason. Alright, since I keep forgetting, I'll do the oil change, squeeze this like a couple more horsepower. I actually really like this car. I've always loved the V12 Mercedes models, especially from this generation when they were throwing twin turbos on a V12. What other company was ballsy to do something like that outside of Audi when they did the RS6 Avant with the twin turbo V10? So, I mean, like, you know, twin turbo V8s everywhere nowadays, and even back in the early 2000s, the RS6 ran a twin turbo V8. But, you know, Mercedes going with a twin turbo V12 is pretty nuts. I think this car is undecidedly in need of BBS LMs, and we're going to do the red center cap versions like we did on the, I think it was the E46 when we built that. Okay, so now let's go get us a 300 SL. So it's a 3-race single race, 10 grand a pop for winning, 4 laps on Apricot Hill, Fuji, and El Capitan. So might not be too shabby of a series. I fully expect to see other SL65s, which is why I bumped the power up on this car. Because I wanted to ensure that we won. We got SL55, a 300 SL, 2 SL6, or an SL600 and SL500, and then an SL65. So it is going to be interesting. So let's see how this goes. The 300 SL I feel bad for, it's just about to get crushed. And we are away. Oh man, we are rolling. I mean, 700, what was it, 750 horsepower out of this thing? This should be a pretty cut and dry event, but I wanted to make sure. Good old, what was that? Would that be M113 supercharged? The SL55? I know it would at least be a V8, but I would like to say it is the supercharged V8 that me and my friend Tyler very much love from that generation of Mercedes. Definitely think AMG's lost its charm in recent years. Probably the AMG Black Series, the GT Black Series, are the last good AMG they'll ever make. But granted, I'm still pretty hardcore the E55 and like the SLK 55 and the SLR, the SLS, stuff like that. The C63 Black Series, like cars like that were peak Mercedes. And obviously cars like the SL65 as well. This thing actually drives pretty well. I'm pretty impressed with it so far. I figured this car would be kind of boaty and hard to drive. I forget this isn't my first rodeo with the SL65. One of my first times I played through GT4 was with the SL65. And it was kind of my go-to car. It just dominated everything. So I really liked using it. So yeah, I mean, I've come to really like this car. A little off-road there, nothing major. Oops, wrong button. See, if that were real life, we would have just lost a V12. But thankfully, we're in a video game. I am actually kind of surprised at how well this car handles for what it is. I mean, it drives almost better than that Opel Speedster did, and I don't know how, because the Speedster is kind of, it's a Lotus Elise-based car. It should be almost godlike on the corners, and this thing's, in my opinion, driving better somehow. Maybe I'm on crack or something, I don't know. Maybe this really isn't driving better than the Opel, but maybe I was just tired when I filmed that episode or something. Oh, that was sketch. That was sketch. Oh, we saved it. Okay. 14-second gap. That's kind of what I was wanting with this series. I didn't want it to be a easy. I didn't want it to be a challenge. All right, lap 3. Probably should have braked a little bit sooner, but it's fine. And see, unlike the what was it, the CLK55 we built earlier in the series, the gearing on this actually makes sense. So far, out of the 2 AMGs we've built, this has been my favorite. I figured it would be. I wonder if it's hard, how hard it is to get one of these. Because I feel like you get 90% of the SLR McLaren out of this car. Just aside from the sweet looking doors and that McLaren badge and the side pipes. And obviously you have a couple more cylinders with this car. So it's like, I'm indecisive over whether, I don't know, I feel like if money was a construct for this, like if I were ever in the market for like SLR McLaren money, I would obviously buy the SLR over this, but I feel like if I had a compromise, this would be a fairly good compromise. Alright, final lap, 25-second gap. We are full Max Verstappen right now. So far, I feel like this car has been the most pain-free we've built in a while. Not just because I made it probably way too fast for this series, but it's predictable. Like, I haven't had any complaints with the handling thus far, and I'm kind of shocked, because this is, like I said, a fairly heavy car. I'm still making little crappy mistakes, but I'll blame that more on, me being on controller. I'm sure that's going to ruffle feathers, just like it did when I used that same line in the GT2 stuff. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Of course you're going to use driving on a controller as your excuse. I mean, it's true. I'm not as good on a controller as I am with my wheel. With my T300 wheel. It is what it is. It is what it is. There we go. Yeah, I like this one a lot. This car has been great. I'm pretty impressed. And across the line. Not too shabby for a first run. Just under 6 minutes of racing. And pretty easy win. So I'll take that. That was nothing. 10 grand, make that back. We're probably going to spend the majority of this on building that 300 SL because I want that car to win. Because I feel like when you've got that Buick Special and you've got all those domestics out there with like the Charger 440 RT, or I think that's what the specific version of the Charger that's in the game, and like the OG Shelby, you know, the 300 SL is going to be having its back against the wall. Not quite as much as the Carmen Ghia would have, but I want to make sure that the 300 SL be competitive, so I'm definitely going to be modifying it rather extensively. So the more cash we can get to do so, the better. 4 laps of the 80s Fuji Speedway. This car is going to be right at home here. This is a very fast track, and this is a very fast car. Brake checked, goodness. All right, hey, Fernando Alonso at Melbourne. Even though I'm sure, you know, the race has long happened now, but it only happened a couple weeks ago at the time of filming this. Don't quite know if he deserved that penalty. Because watching it back, I mean, I didn't really look like a brake check, or I guess they say brake test over there. Everything looked fine. I mean, probably took that corner a little bit slower than he should have, but I don't know how that translates to going off track and eating the wall. Maybe someone a little more educated in how F1 cars operate can, you know, enlighten me on that. But I was just like, bruh, I don't think he deserved that. Unlike me right now, who just went in that corner too fast, I do deserve that understeer. Put me in the wall because I was going too hot in that corner. All right, let's see if this thing tops out on the straight. I can get cars rolling on this straight. So let's see what this 700 plus horsepower V12 Mercedes can do. All right, we're on 180 into 5th gear. 190 as we hit the brake zone for turn 1 here. Those brakes are fantastic. I really wish F1 would come back to Fuji. I mean, I don't think they've been at Fuji since I started really paying attention. I think they ran at Suzuka every year since I really started watching. But I swear they ran at Fuji like when I first started hearing about F1 when I was like 9 or 10. Because I remember, you know, being in the U.S., especially in the mid to late 2000s when F1 kind of fell off here, I'd never really heard of it until Sebastian Vettel made his little thing with the Red Bull X2010 and Gran Turismo 5. That was actually what introduced me to F1 out of all things. And then I always kind of acknowledged it. I knew who Lewis Hamilton was, and I knew who Sebastian was. So Vettel is still like my all-time like motoring icon hero. And he's just generally a good dude. But like I didn't really get into it until 2022, and it was not Drive to Survive. Ironically enough, it is what was going on over in Europe, which I can't say without getting demonetized. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. This channel isn't monetized anyway. You know, the situation in Europe, actually, when Mazepin got kicked out, that actually, like, kind of got my attention because I was keeping up with what was going on at the time. And I was like, wow, what's going on over there? And then I was like, you know what? I have been, like, from outside the glass following F1 for all these years. Maybe I should finally give it a shot. And here I am now, like, staying up till 1 a.m. to watch the green flag at Melbourne, and, you know, staying up late to catch practice at Suzuka. Like, you know, a lot of Americans will devote their time to football. I devote my time to motorsport. Motorsport is my football. All right, we're rounding around the final corner. I didn't botch it that time. Ah, spoke too soon. Never mind, we botched it. Whoops. Okay. Scar's got a little bit of high speed understeer, but I would attribute that to the fact that, I mean, it does not. It's pretty smooth. There's no drag coefficient to this thing. The arrow is non-existent on this thing. So I'm gonna blame that on why it can't take that corner any faster. I bet if I'd slapped the wing on it at GT Auto, probably able to take that corner a little bit quicker than I, am able to right now. But like I said, this car feels right at home here. This is definitely a track where this car eats up. And if we had a 5th lap, we'd be lapping people. Like, that's nuts. This car is that fast. And I mean, outside of going off on the final corner, I've not been making a whole lot of mistakes. This corner, when I was learning this track when I was younger, was the death of me. And as you can see, it still gives me a little bit of trouble. Not as much as it used to, thankfully. Alright, let's swing it around here. I don't know, I doubt it. I was like, I wonder if we can catch up to whoever's in last. Definitely not now. Man, this corner. That sucks. Yeah, if I didn't do that, I might be catching him, but I don't think we'd be lapping anybody. I think we would need that 5th lap to get some lapping done here, but definitely a pretty good win. 37-second gap at that checkpoint. As I expected, 300 SL in dead last. And probably one of my favorite Mercedes models, the R129 SLs, finishing not like, barely ahead of that. I don't know what it is. I've just always liked those R129 SLs, especially the SL600 from that gen. Even though the R2 something looks way better. There's just something about it. The R230. I definitely like the R129 though. It's just, I don't know, something about it. A lot of people say it's really ugly. I think it's pretty timeless for a Merc. You don't see a lot of R129s anymore. Alright, heading into El Capitan now. The final race of the series. Alright. So the grid, we've got a 300 SL, SL500, the R230. We have an SL55, an SL65, and an R230 SL600, and then us in our overpowered R230 SL65. So let's get this done. Get that 300 SL of our own. Hopefully we get a cool color. That's one thing I hate about the prize cars in GT7 or GT4, excuse me, is that you might not get the color you want. I would love to have that iconic silver color that 300 SLs were back in the day. I would also not complain if it was black. But I think the first time I played through this and I got the 300 SL, I got a red one. And I was like, lame, Red's pretty boisterous for a Merc. And granted, maybe it wouldn't be too bad because the AMG Hammer was red, the very first AMG Mercedes. So maybe, crap. Yep, I knew as soon as I got in that dirt trap, I was not getting back out of it easily. So maybe, I don't know, maybe the red might not be too bad. Nice little AMG touch. Holy airtime. I don't think I've had many cars get air right there, but I guess when you make the power of a, comparable LMP1 machine and a road car with no aero, it might catch air like that. It's crazy. This is the automatic. This is the 5-speed, and it's doing really well. I don't know. Maybe it's just how they have it geared for the R230, or maybe it's because this car makes way more power than the CLK55 we built earlier on. Ah, crap. I'm checking my text messages while I'm driving. Maybe don't text and drive, kids. Ten-second gap already. We haven't even finished the first lap, so. And that was with that horrible mess up I had. Hopefully one day I'll get to see El Capitan in all of its glory in real life. My fiance is a big National Park nerd, so maybe we'll trek out there someday. She's been there already to Yosemite and seeing El Capitan and all that stuff. So I wish they'd bring this track back, honestly. And it gave me a newfound appreciation for this track when I met her and, you know, learned more about her and all that stuff. So, I mean, I've always liked this track, but I definitely liked it a little bit more after meeting my fiance. Oh, man. Ooh, a little twitch of understeer there. At least we didn't hit the wall that time. Let's see if I can keep it from catching quite as much air. Then it still caught some good air. I thought letting off the gas there and kind of slowing down a touch would keep it from catching a ton of air. I don't know, I kind of want to go look on Car Guru, see if I can find me an SL65 now. I've always liked these cars. I just always have. Even if they are 20 years old now, they've aged quite well, I would say, for, you know, a 20-year-old Mercedes. It's not like the R30, the Mark IV R32, which, you know, unfortunately shows its age quite a lot now. But I've always loved those two, obviously. I mean, there's a reason I've built two of them so far in the series. But I don't know. Maybe one day I'll get like an SL65 or who knows. I mean, if I ever just win the lottery, I'll buy an SLR because that is my all-time favorite Mercedes. I guess McLaren too, honestly. Outside of the 12C, I love the 12C. I know a lot of people don't like the 12C now, and it's become the cheap McLaren that everyone has. But I've always liked them. I've just had a soft spot for 12Cs. Oh, I came in way too hot. Yeah, I kind of deserve that. That's the one thing. This car just, like, it just rolls out, and then you, like, I don't know. I've gotten comfortable with it. Too comfortable. And I've trusted it too much. 32-second gap. We're just going to send it. Ooh, big air. Oh, man. Holy understeer. That corner, as you guys saw, got me during the license test, too. So I do not like that specific corner. Holy off-roader. Not quite a G-Wagon. You know, I'm surprised with all the SUVs and stuff they've added to Gran Turismo in recent years. We never got the G-Wagon. Wonder why that's the case. Like, we've got the Urus now in GT7. We've got, like, we had the F-150 and the Tundra in that game. We've had, you know, the Silverado SST, the Tacoma X-Runner. We had the Range Rover Stormer. We had the, obviously the Ram 1500 was in this game in GT4 and 5 and 6, obviously. So I'm like, why is, excuse me, why is the G-Wagon left out as one of like the only few like big name SUVs to not be in the game? Especially considering it's got AMG counterparts, especially even when they got the G65. Which I think is just sweet. I think that's probably my favorite version of the G-Wagon is like a G65. When those were still around, the V12 G classes. I don't think they make them anymore though. I think they only do the G63 now. I'm not really much of a G-Wagon guy, but I don't mind the G65 specifically. Ah, see, that corner's just gonna forever get me. A little bit off-roading doesn't hurt, I guess. Oof, yep. It's pretty rough in terms of mistakes, but it is what it is. Kind of gotten lax. I'm not really trying hard. 51-second gap, though. This car is just a rocket ship. I'm glad I went with the hard tires, though. As you can see, they're already, like, turning orange almost. It was a 4-lap race. I can only imagine if this was, like, you know, on softs. It'd probably be worn out by now. This car would be borderline undrivable. And across the line. Alright, not bad. Not gonna lie, I'm very impressed with this SL65. I didn't have high hopes with it, and I've come away liking it a lot. I say I don't have high hopes for it when I was the one who ran it in the previous playthrough and actually enjoyed it, but I figured it was gonna be pretty boaty, and it handles actually quite well. Oh, sweet, we got it in silver. Heck yeah. I'm pretty excited about that. I think my last playthrough I got a red one. But usually these episodes are about 40 minutes, so I guess we are going to jump into the IA license. Yeah, I am kind of dreading this, honestly. Alright, so we've got midfields in the Jag XJ220. I remember doing this test when I was going to beat my Let's Play from a few years ago. So, let's see how this goes. Oh man, this thing does not corner very well. Turn, please. No! Oh my goodness. I don't think we're passing it. Wow, this thing sucks. This was the car everyone freaked out about in the 90s? Oh my gosh, we got it. Alright, now the majority of these tests have been in montage form, but this is the most infamous license test in Gran Turismo history. Welcome everyone to the pace car at the Nürburgring and the worst sounding car in GT4. One lap of the Nordschleife I feel like I could be extra conservative and still pass this, so that's going to be kind of my approach with this, is going to be just kind of being safe. I don't need to be fast, I just need to be safe. There's a 30-second gap between, or a little north of 30 seconds between the silver and bronze time here. So the goal is to just not be not be a hero, not set any records. My goal is just to pass this, honestly, because this is going to take a pretty long amount of time, as you guys can see. So the last thing I need is for this to be a, you know, multi-attempt kind of deal. Now I've done for some pretty extensive amount of laps around this track now, and when I first did this playthrough back in 2020 or 2019, I mentioned, like, I used to not have the best track record around here. I have since actually won an esports race here, so I guess I've gotten a little bit better, and I'm having a lot more time on at least on my wheel, where I'm not making as many errors here. So, like I said, the goal here is not to be a hero and to just focus on driving clean and passing the test. This thing sounds terrible, by the way. They've really done this car dirty in the sound department. Like I said, just be safe. Oh man, I don't like this. Oh gosh, okay, we're good, we're good. I got a little scared there. Tail's kicking out. Okay. I just realized there's no assists either. I'm playing on veteran difficulty. They made this test extremely difficult. See, I don't trust this car. Oh man, this test got me this spot got me twice in the M5. Just a few tests earlier. Like I said, just trying to be safe. As long as I can get it under 10 minutes, we're good. Which I feel like we can. This car, I mean, it's not slow, but it's not fast either. I would like to drive here one day. Oh, good slide. Man, this track is bumpy in this game. I don't remember being quite this bumpy in the newer games. Maybe they've repaved it since 2005. Or 2004, whenever this game came out. Alright. Oh, we're about to pass him. Oh, I know that's an automatic fail. Dive bomb the pace car. So during the esports race, we're getting close to the sector where it did catch me out during that race. I don't know how I still won it, but I was able to come back from it. It was after this corner. It was this fast sector we're coming up on. There we go. That corner usually gets me pretty good too. Swinging around here. So it was right up in here, I believe. I believe it was this corner. I dipped my tires in. No, it was this one. It was definitely this one. I remember the curve. I dipped my left tire in my R8 I was racing, and it sent me flying. So this part of the track caught me out pretty bad during the esports race that I actually somehow came back and won here. So I was gaining on the pace car. Couldn't pass him, obviously. Much as I'd like to get him out of the way. They, of course, intentionally put me in cars that are not really fast enough to do that easily. Even though I nearly passed him a couple times next. Almost got him in the SEAT. At the El Capitan, that test. Okay, we're entering the carousel. A corner that they have now emulated at my local Porsche Experience Center in Atlanta, so. Okay, now we're on the back half. We've officially, you know, I feel like we've gone through the hardest part of the Nordschleife. From here, it's pretty straightforward, I would say, even though there is a lot, it's a lot more technical, this part, but. The Brave hitting that curve like that. Oh, send you flying most of the time. I do not trust this car by any means. So 3.5 minutes remain if we're gonna get the silver. Ooh, that's close. I better not mess this up now. I've spent 6 minutes of my life doing this. Come on. Oh! Oh! Whew! Phew! Oh man, my heart rate probably just skyrocketed there for a second. That was scary. I thought that was it. I gotta remember, I'm start making mistakes when I get nervous like this, so I gotta be careful. Get some air there. This corner complex and like fast like aero cars is so fun. I do not trust this car that much. Alright, flat out through here. I've noticed with this track, it's really hard to have a reference for braking zones. Like, obviously, Gran Turismo provides one for every track in the game. Tail kicked out again. Oh, no, 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 no! Whew. A little too close to the grass for comfort there. Tail's kicking out. Okay. See, those curbs are what's tripping me up because it's, you know, it's throwing the weight transfer off and it's kicking the tail out. But thankfully, we're on a pretty. We get a second to breathe. Phew. I can tell that pace car is definitely not full throttle right now, just to be nice to me. There's a Torsten zone there. It's a 5-speed. I shouldn't be surprised at this point. It's a Mercedes. Yeah, the pace car is slowing down, so I'm gonna go ahead and start slowing down too. Like I said, my goal was not to set any records, but just to be, you know, good enough. I think we might be getting the silver, guys. Heck yeah. I'll take that. I was fully expecting to be fighting in bronze territory, but... Alright. That just leaves the final exam for IA, which I guess I might as well commentate over versus do it in montage style. Oh crap, it's a lot longer than I thought it was. Okay, so it's just tackling Mulsanne corner and then Indianapolis, and I believe that's Arnage. So this is a track I know quite well. I've done an extensive amount of hours on. And a car that I'm not quite as familiar with. Let's see what this old Group C can do. At least I think this is a Group C car. No sixth gear. What a shame. That's still fast, though. 230 miles an hour definitely ain't slow. Man. I thought this was the test with the Porsche curves and the Ford, not the Ford chicane, but just the Porsche curves near that area. No, it's definitely not. Oh no, I better be on top of the brakes when I get to the end of this corner here. Most treacherous, in my opinion, the most dangerous part of the Circuit OSR. Probably was a little conservative there, but I'd rather be a little conservative with my braking points than going off track and having to start over. Phew! Goodness gracious. The turbo lag is for real in this car. See how little I trust this car. Right, we're on Indianapolis, and I believe this is Arnage, if I remember correctly. Which is where the GTPSP challenge begins, right here. Hey, I'll take it. It was a bronze, but I will much rather have the bronze than fail, so. But that is the IA license, the hardest license, in my opinion, to get in GT4. Super license, I don't think we're gonna need at least, so that's good news. We aren't gonna need that. All right. Let's see. What was the prize car for this? I don't even remember. Was it the 190? Oh, okay. That's pretty sweet. It's not gonna get used, but hey. But on that note, that ends our adventure for today. So thank you all for watching. I will see you guys next time. Have a great day.